This is Ring Wraps with Mr. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, Mr. Matchroom. Eddie, we're here at the presser for the Bosch Army, Johnny Fisher versus Alen the Savage Babic. Can you talk to us about this card and what your expectations are?
It's a kind of next-gen card gone crazy, really. I mean, we're expecting between 6,000 and 7,000 in there at the Copper Bosch on Saturday. As you know, Johnny Fisher, the biggest ticket seller in the country, done nearly 3,000 tickets on his own just for this fight. So, a lot of good talent on the undercard. Big step up. Alen Babic and the team, they really fancy it. They think Johnny's made a mistake. I think he's going to stop Alen Babic on Saturday. I think he's a lot more than a ticket seller. I think he's a great heavyweight prospect. And, Reece Bellotti against Levi Giles is going to be a brilliant fight for the British and Commonwealth title. Big step up for Maisie Rose as well in her first championship fight. First championship fight for John Hedges. Jimmy Sains, Giorgio Vizioli, Layli Buttigieg as well. So big card, big night of boxing, and of course the football as well.
Not to pick through there, Ed. Johnny was seen as a somewhat of a novelty factor a couple of years ago. Essex boy, new at the Tibbs gym, whatnot.
I know how it feels.
He's
sounding like me. Essex boy, novelty factor. Yeah.
Well, you've given him the double lively moniker as well.
Yeah.
So, I've been out on a few nights in Romford, so I know what that's all about.
Yeah.
Johnny's come along waves since then.
Yeah.
Jimmy
But
Tibbs,
then,
Mark Tibbs.
Yeah, I think back then, you're talking about a kid that had no amateur pedigree, was just big, strong, and he's refined his skills, and that's what I talk about now. He's a top world heavyweight prospect. If you got a good chin, if you can hit hard, if you got a good engine, and you're a strong boy, you're halfway there in the heavyweight division. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to go on and be special and win world titles, but it means you can get to a certain level. But those skills are getting better and better. I always knew that when Johnny turned over, he could win Southern area, English, maybe he could get a shot at the British. Now, if he doesn't win a British heavyweight title, I think it's actually, he's done a disservice to himself. I think he can go British, European level. Can he get to world level? We'll see over time. But he's smart, he's learning, he's getting better, and this is a big step up.
Well, Fabio Wardley paid him a huge compliment, saying he's largely slept on. As you know, he's done many rounds with Fabio in sparring. There's not many of the top people that Johnny hasn't sparred with. Hrgovic, Fury,
and that's
Chisora.
been key. He's always been willing to fly out to America, sparred Joyce, Hrgovic recently as well, like you said. He sparred top boys, Dubois. So, he's put in the time in the training camps. He's willing to make that investment in himself. And like I said, good, strong, young heavyweight. And, after the Fraser Clark-Fabio Wardley fight, I texted him straight away. I said, I really fancy you in that fight. Oh, do you think, I said, no, look, we do need a couple more tests. But honestly, I believe you beat both. And I like Fabio, I rate him, and I think, obviously, Fraser Clark, he's got great experience as well. But I just think Johnny, down the stretch, if he can make his engine efficient, I think he's going to be too much for those level of fighters.
Eddie, Alen Babic was somewhat of a darling of lockdown. He swept the boxing fan base by storm. Everybody was loving it. It was the Savage Army, if you remember, right? Do you think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder now, thinking that he's old hat, like he's yesterday's news, and now Johnny's the new guy?
Obviously there was a purse bid. He took that fight in Poland. He lost that fight. It's quite a big shock. I fancied him to beat Brzezinski, but he got caught cold. And that can happen when you fight like Alen Babic. So I think he's got to prove Saturday what he's got left. Good win against Steve Robinson last time out, but Johnny's level's above Steve Robinson. And the problem with Alen is he's going to fight the same way all the time. He's going to come out from the first bell, he's going to stick it on you, he's going to stand and trade. And I don't like his chances trading with Johnny Fisher because I think he's too fast and he hits too hard. So Alen needs to get through 3, 4, 5 rounds in this fight and keep that pressure on and try and wear Johnny down. It's going to be a tough night's work.
I know you're not allowed to do predictions, Eddie, but have you got one?
Johnny Fisher inside 3 rounds.
Wow. Eddie, let's try and keep up with what I'll call Hearn Air, which is your international exploits. We'll go backwards. So yesterday you was in Manchester for a brilliant presser for Catterall Vs Prograis.
Yeah.
Can you give us the down low on this?
Yeah, first fight at the Co-op Live, which is the new arena there in Manchester. We're opening it up for boxing for the first time, August 24th. One of the best fights in the division. Outside of the World Championship fights, very unusual to see 2 guys face each other like that. Catterall, who's coming off the biggest win of his career, his stock's higher than ever. Regis Prograis coming off a huge night against Devin Haney, but a defeat, needs to bounce back. So that's a great fight, August 24th. And obviously coming back from Phoenix after a great performance from Bam. Finish up here and then off to Philly for Jaron Ennis.
Eddie, it's no secret Matchroom. We've got the lion's share of the 140 division. If we look at Catterall and Regis as the best of the rest, if you like, who'd you like to see the winner go on and take?
Probably fight Liam Paro because, you know, obviously he's a Matchroom fighter as well and he holds a world championship. I do believe the winner of that fight will probably sit as mandatory for Teofimo Lopez. And I think that's a great fight. Whether Teofimo and Top Rank would take that fight, we'll see. But for me, you know, I guarantee both men, the winner of that fight will fight for a world title. They're rolling the dice. They're giving fans a great fight. They deserve to fight for the championship. And the reality is Jack Catterall should already be undisputed.
So a big homecoming for Liam Paro?
Absolutely. That's the plan, October, November in Australia.
Eddie, you are the only promoter who's happily mentioning people like Teofimo Lopez, almost like the forgotten man, even though he's the guy on paper at 140. You obviously have previous, and it didn't go well in his eyes with DAZN and Kambosa's fight. Can you see a bridge being built there?
Probably not. I mean, he says some weird stuff. Like, I've always, in person, got on all right with Teofimo. We've done a great job on that show. Sold it out, which is quite unusual for him. And, you know, the fight was incredible. He lost a tight decision. Most people felt he lost. He blamed us that the judges didn't give it to him. And he said if it was on a Top Rank show, he would have won. Yeah. And he's never kind of forgotten about it. I don't know what planet, you know, that opinion lands from, but he's always had a bee in his bonnet about it. So, bit of a strange one, in all honesty, and it carries on. For me, Teofimo is a great fighter, you know, but I just think he's wasting his career. Like that fight at the weekend, it's like in a bingo hall in Miami, in front of 2,500 against Steve Claggett. It's a complete bore fest. Those kind of fights are going to lower your stock. When Teofimo's not in a good fight, his performance dips, and when he's in a tough fight, he's come through. He's been amazing. But he needs to be in those big fights and, you know, hopefully we can help him.
Eddie, last one. Where is the trajectory heading with Bam Rodriguez? I'm hearing crazy things.
Yeah, I think limitless. You know, already top 5 pound for pound in the world. You know, he's going to move to bantam. I know the dream fight is Inoue. Whether they cross paths in the future, we'll see. But
his dream or your dream or the fans' dream?
I think the fans' dream. Because if he can get to bantam, you know, then the fight starts becoming more realistic, and he's looking big and strong at Superfly already. So generational talent, and great to see him finally getting recognised for his ability and his achievements.
Would you make of Sonny getting booed? He gets knocked out in December. He gets cheered.
Yeah, I just think
he gets cut.
It's not really just him. It's probably the style of fighting. You know, before him there was a fight on Before the Bell where a guy was Danny Barrios was boxing off the back foot. Boo! Boo! They just want you to come and have a Mexican slugfest, and that's not going to be Sonny. But that was a good win for him against Curiel, and big things coming.
Appreciate your time, Eddie. Ring wraps.
Cheers, mate.